Well, hey folks, FatGuyFliesRC coming to you from the man cave. All right, FMS sent me out, as you already know, the 1700mm Super Cub, PA-18 Super Cub. Well, they also sent me out the 1300mm PA-18 Super Cub, and to a comparison, kind of a big brother, little brother type thing. Well, as promised, this is the 1300mm millimeter wingspan, and we're going to take it out of the box and put her together. Now, let's go over some of the specs on the plane, which I have a nice spec page right here. Okay, wingspan is 51.2 inches wide, or 1300 millimeters. Overall length is 38.8 inches long, or 986 millimeters. Flying weight with the recommended battery is 1,460 grams. The motor size is a 3536 with a KV of 850. It has a 40 amp ESC. It has 6 9-gram servos. It requires at least a 6-channel receiver. Center of gravity is 60 to 7 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wings, from the front of the wing, 60 to 70 millimeters back. It has a 11x7 two-bladed prop, and recommended battery is a 2200 3S. And we'll be using basically a 2200 in there. But let's get it out of the box and show how everything comes out of the box. We're going to change our camera view to our down view, since this will fit nice in the frame, and we'll be right back. Change our position. Hold on. Alrighty, we're back. I'm afraid there's a little bit of a glare on the screen. I really can't help that, because I need the lights in here to see. But we'll go ahead and open this bad boy up. Okay. I always suggest you open up both ends, because it just makes life easier to push things out. Just like that. Alrighty. There you have it. Alright. Now, as you can see, everything is laid out in a nice crate. If this fell off, if that thing fell out of the back of the box, it's not going to hurt anything, because everything is nice and protected. Alrighty. And the other thing is, I do suggest that when you're opening up these things, open up these planes, do like I'm doing. Take a little video, take a couple of pictures, because if you had to, God forbid, had to send this back, then you would have literally a plain Tetris game trying to put this all back in here. So it's just easier to have a little documented how it came out of the box, just to make your life easier later on. All right. Just in case. Okay. All right. Like I say, everything is protected in here. Very nice wing. Has the vortex generator along the front. And like I always say, and like is usually the case, these wings and these parts of these planes, even though they're foam, you may be able to see the individual cell. You cannot feel it. It's a nice, tight fitting. Everything, all the foam is nice and tight put together. Very nice, very nice. Ball links are already on there. You need to make sure that they're completely seated. Okay. But you see your ball links already on. You have a foam hinge, but there's going to be very low stress on this, so that's okay. Everything is nice and labeled for you, so you can't get it wrong. Nice manual, not folded, which I don't like folded manuals. This is about the Reflex 3 that comes in the plane. You have 2 wing spars, one for the main wing and the one to go in your horizontal stabilizer, otherwise known as elevator. Here's your 3-part spinner right here. A piece of foam. Of course, you've got your other wing. Very nice, nice lights, vortex generators. Everything's hooked up for you. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. Amazing how they use all the space. And just like the PA-18 1700mm, this is just the same thing, just shrunk down. Just a little bit smaller. All right, go ahead, because they got them dug in. Got all them wires are in there. And go ahead since you're already here dealing with this, go ahead and grab one end of these, hold it tight here with this thumb is wiggling. Hold it tight and then pull your fingers through here. Pull these things tight and straight. Trust me, it'll make hooking this plane up a whole lot easier. And I like the fact your rudder is already hooked up for you. Okay, got more foam. Got your horizontal stabilizer, otherwise known as your elevator. And this just clicks in. So make sure you work that foam hinge. Got nice laminate in there, ball length. This should be the only thing you're going to have to hook up is your elevator here. This is going to snap into place. So you can go ahead and pull those pieces apart. Okay, this is just protection filler foam. Go ahead and shove that down in one of these little holes here, get it out of the way. Okay, you got your little, this is your programming cable for the Reflex version 3. And I will tell you, with these high wing trainers like this, I typically don't mess with a Reflex 3. I leave the settings, the gains, how they am. I mean, you can go in there with your app on your phone and go in there and change the settings and how you like it. But I tendency to find that the way they've tuned the Reflex for these high wing planes is perfect, and I leave them alone. Got a very small amount. You got your little air filler needle for your air-filled tires. And it looks like 2mm hex drive. Yeah, looks like just a 2mm hex drive tool. It looks like that's all you're going to need to put this plane together. Okay. Got your propeller. It's 11 by 7. I don't know if you can see that or not. 11 by 7. Okay. Then you got all your struts. And I don't know if they're labeled or not, but I don't think you can screw these up. Yeah, it doesn't look like the way they're angled. I don't think you can mess these up. So, all right. We shall see. Been a while since I put this plane together. All right. Undo our fuselage. Nice hard, you can put floats on this. Our fuselage. All right. Nice top loader. Now you don't have much room in there, and you do have a lot of wires. You can see your Reflex, that red thing, that's your Reflex down in there. This also has thrust reverse. Now if you want to use you do not need to put a gyro receiver in here, okay? All you need is a plain Jane, a minimum of a 6-channel receiver. All right, hold on just a second. We're gonna gather my tools, okay, and get this debris out of the way, and we'll be right back. So we're going to pause. And don't forget, you got to pull the landing gear from underneath here. We'll pull that out here in just a second. So I'll have that out when we come right back. All righty, we're back. Went ahead and I pulled the landing gear out of the bottom of that out of the foam coffin. Like I said, you've got the squishy tires in this that you can add air to. All right, I only suggest putting a small amount of air, if any air at all, because actually the factory amount is going to be more than sufficient, okay? So if you really, really want to, just a small amount of air. You're not going to need much. Go ahead, and while you're here, have yourself I got an older beat-up Ernst stand, but they work just real well. Go ahead and take that Velcro out of there. I like using Velcro. I like using the battery strap, and I like using Velcro, okay? Now, I'm a Velcro guy. What I like to do is I like to have the prickly side, the hard, rough side in the fuse. That's just me. That's what I'm used to, and that's what I like to do. But go ahead and have your battery hatch off of here, and then turn your plane this way, Okay, because we're going to go ahead and put our fuse together. Now in your kit, you've got this little baggie, these little all the one size screw does everything. Okay, everything you need is right here. Then you need to drop it. Always drop stuff. I mean, it's just part of the building. If you don't drop it, you're not working. Okay, I'm going to take these, put them in these magnetic trays. I love magnetic trays. They help keep all the screws that I've got loose, even the ones in my head, nice and secure. All right, so I'm going to put these in the little, see, there you go. You'll need a 2mm hex drive tool. Okay, they don't provide one. Oh yeah, yep. No, I'm sorry. Yes, they do. They do provide one there, but it's just easier to have your own. I mean, you can use the Allen wrench if you want, but I like using these. All right, take your fuse. Okay, now remember we already pulled them wires out and got them nice and straight. Okay, you see that channel that we're going to go down and see all them wires down there? That's where we're going. So I'm going to take this fuse. I'm going to set it just like this. You only got these 2 long wires here. And I'm going to let gravity be my friend. Okay? I'm going to let gravity be my friend there. Let that carbon fiber tube go right in that. See what's feeding right in there? Okay. Let them 2 pieces just slide right together. Just like that. And turn my... In fact, they're already hanging out. They're already hanging out down here. They fell right through. There's gravity helping me out. All right. Now, you're going to take your screws, back half of your fuse here. Okay? This hole here, and these metal screws are going into a metal housing in there. You may have to push a little bit to get everything to line up just right, but that's okay. A little bit of pressure is not going to hurt nothing. Kind of had, this one had to go in a little bit at an angle, but it's in there. Okay, nice and tight. Now that made that one line up pretty good. It's a little bit off, but it's not too bad. Okay. Has a very obvious bottoming out point. Don't go crazy. Nice and snug. But that fuse is in there. So now we can turn our attention to up front. Okay? Going to take your wheels. Okay? See how they're angled? Okay? This part here is more angled back. This is going to go towards the rear of the plane. I'll slide in there just like that. See how that's going to look? See how it's angled forward? Okay. Get that all nice and down in there, seated down and nice and tight. Okay. Then you're going to take these retaining clips, these white retaining clips. Go ahead and dump all this into that metal tray, into this tray here. Okay. You're going to take these 4 pieces that look like this. Okay. Just like that. You can't get this wrong. It's keyed on how they're supposed to be sit in there. Okay. This is going to, they're shaped to fit just right. That's going to sit in there just like that. This one's going to sit in here just like that. Nope, that's the wrong one, the longer one. Okay. Up. Up. See? Like I said, nothing's scripted here on FatGuyFliesRC. Let's go ahead and get this front one secured. I'm going to take the same screws. We'll get this one secured. Maybe. Hey, you know what? I'm doing something wrong. See this? That also has to go in there, just like that. See? See how that should look? Okay. Now, these are going to fit right in place to lock that in. All right, I got one done. I'm going to fast forward as I do the rest. These pieces here, you're going to be tempted to put them here. No, they go back here. These are for floats later on. Just go ahead and put them on in there. Alrighty, now if you notice, I didn't put anything here. That's for a reason. We're going to get back to that in just a minute. But while we're here, go ahead and take these big old springs. Okay? You're going to fit one through here, and one's going to fit down here. What I found easier to do was to take these back out. You probably said so in instructions. And then go ahead and assemble that freely, like that. And then put those back down in there like that way. This is all assembled. Then come back and secure it with these retaining clips. It's just a whole lot easier. Probably says so in the instructions, but you know, I'm a typical man. Not going to read the instructions. I'm just going to go for it. Sure those are seated. That in there. Spring that off to one side like that. That's very important. Make sure you spring things like that. They have to happen that way. I don't make these rules. Okay. Just hold that down. Just makes your life a lot easier just to do. Let me make the mistakes on the camera, and then you don't have to make the mistakes, and your build will go so much nicer. Your assembly will go so much better. Just a good thing to do. Okay, let Fat Guy make the mistakes so you don't have to. All right. And there, I'm sorry the air conditioning's running in here because it's hot in Florida. It gets hot in the man cave. But look at that. Got some very nice, robust, springy gear. All right. I know we haven't done anything with that. That's on purpose. Okay. Now we're going to turn around. We're going to take care of our vertical stabilizer or horizontal stabilizer. Let me back you up just a touch. Now for this, it's insanely simple. Here's your back of your plane here. Okay. You see these? All right, there's the top. See how that fits together? It's going to fit just like that. Okay. So that's the top. So we got to work with the bottom right now. Like this, okay? This side, the ball link needs to be what you're looking at right now. So go ahead and put your carbon spar in there. There's a hole, a very obvious hole that fits through. Slide that into place. Slide this into place. Make sure these two parts of the tail meet up. And then you're going to snap this together. Okay, that's together. There wasn't much of a snap, but you can press in and release that, and that should Yeah, I'm pulling on both sides. It is not coming out. Okay? So that's together. So now let's get our wings prepared. Okay? Now, the way you're going to put these wings together, take your wing spar, go ahead and slide it on in there. Sometimes you have to get a little twisting action. This is the wing we're going to be using. You see that hole right there? That hole is where you're going to be sliding all of your wings through. Okay? All your wires through. Go ahead and... You know what? You know what? Let's do something first, just to make our life easier. Let's take our wing, set it down on the bench. Let's go ahead and get this installed. Your struts. Okay? Now see, if you look, there's a key up here. The wheel's in the way, I know. But there's a key up here of how this fits up in there, just like that. So that gives you, I know you probably can't see it. Okay. But there's a key. How this is keyed, this is going to fit up in there, just like that. So if it fits that way, then you know you got the correct strut here. Okay? But it would have to go like this. Nope, that was the right strut. Okay. However way it fits. So obviously you're not going to be able to screw it up. That was going to go like that. So that means we can take this and apply this to this wing here. You've got these, let me get you turned. Okay, you got these nubs here. Okay, they're going to go through that right there. You've got these cotter pins. Okay, you might want to grab your wing. Really, if you're smart, you'd put this like on a cloth or something. All right, let's see how that goes through there like that. I'll get you a close-up here in just a second. And that's how that should look. That way you can pull those out. Take your struts now, your jerry struts. Those should pop into place. Should. Alright, pops into place. That wing is on there now. Okay, so now we can slide our wing onto the wing spar. Make sure you take your wires, see up here at the top of the screen where my fingers are. Slide all three of these wires through that square right there. That's a light, flap, and aileron. Make sure they all slide right in there. Okay? Whatever you have to do. If you want to reach in from the inside, grab them, whatever. You're going to be getting them here in a little while anyways. Okay? Let me get up in there, see if I can't get a hold of them puppies. Yeah, they're up. Yeah, they're right here up close, so you should be able to get it. See how they're pulling in right now? Up towards the top of the screen there? All right. Got a hold of them all. Get this keyed up in there and slide that wing right on in there. Okay, that's nice and seated in there. Okay, go ahead while we're here. Take your screws. Remember those pieces of the puzzle up here? Well, let me get you where you can see what I'm doing. All right. Got these spots right here. Go ahead and anchor them down. Oh, wrong screwdriver. 2mm. Go ahead and anchor that down. Has a very obvious bottoming out point. Don't worry, you've got plenty of screws for everything. And if you end up losing some screws, you could lose 2 of these to add to the mix, just in case you needed to. Okay? And this anchors back the back half of the landing gear and your strut all in one piece. Very ingenious design. Okay, in fact, you're going to have to use those screws. I'm going to have to use those screws. That's unusual for FMS. Usually give you an extra. All right, put your hand underneath. Support the wing underneath. I know you can't see my hand, but okay. Nice and tight. And then right up front here. This is where a very long 2mm hex drive would be handy. I guess to make it easier, you could have put the wings on first, but I don't like doing that. Okay, that wing's on there. Okay. Now I'm just going to repeat the same process, just on the other side. So I will fast forward through that. But before I do, you are going to need these screws. Okay. I'm going to assume that if you get the float kit that they'll come with extra screws, but you're going to need these. So go ahead and just remove these. Alrighty, now repeat the same process on both sides. Got your 4 screws here on either side of the back. Retain the back of the landing gear and the struts in place. These only fit on one way. You've got your little cotter pins on either side. Pop in your struts, screw them in here, screw your struts in up top here, and then you got 2 screws on either side. Same process for the other side. Now, as in all FMS tradition, you will have 1 screw left over. That may be for the prop, I'm not sure yet. However, these retaining clips that I originally put on that went back here, you're not going to have enough screws. That's for the floats. So if you get the float kit, I'm sure it's going to come with additional screws. All right? So that's that. Now, let's get our... I pulled up, if you're kind of watching, I was fast forwarding, I was pulling through some of them wires through, and I got them labeled, all 3 of them are labeled. You got 3 out of each side, 1 flap, 1 aileron, and 1 light coming out of each side, and everything's up front, so that's all your wires in there for labeling. Okay, put your cap back on there like that. And yes, I know we don't have the elevator on there yet, but that's okay, because I don't add that until later on. Now, this is for your flap lead. You're going to plug, I believe you're going to plug both your flaps in and your lights, probably your wing lights or one of the lights in for this. But I'll share that when I go after the maiden, what you do with this one. Okay, everything's in there. Hook up your reflex. Now, a receiver for this, you do not want a gyroed receiver. You paid an extra 20 bucks and figured in the price for that reflex. Okay, if you're gonna have, if you just got to have a Spectrum gyroed receiver, then yank that reflex out and let the Spectrum receiver handle your gyro. Otherwise, all you need is a simple at least 6-channel receiver. And this is just a little 7-channel Limit RX Gen 2. All it does is have dual diversity and controls the plane. It does not, I mean, it just attaches your plane to your transmitter. It does not in any way have a gyro or stabilization in it. That's what the Reflex version 3 is for. This is just for your plane to talk to your transmitter. Okay, if you were to put a receiver that had a gyro in it, and keep the active gyro in here, you're going to have two gyros conflicting with each other, and you're going to crash your plane. Okay, they're both going to be sending separate signals, and the chances of them being able to work together are next to none. So if you're going to keep the gyro, and if you're going to keep the onboard stock gyro that you paid for, then you don't need to pay for a gyroed receiver. You can save some money and get a simple. This receiver is $17. Very reliable Lemon RX Gen 2. That's all I'm going to use. Now, before we put the prop on, I'm going to show you a quick and dirty way to make sure your prop is balanced. Put it on something where it can balance, where it can move. Okay. All right. Make sure you don't have any current, nothing blowing on you. All right, that prop's not moving. If I put it right here, holds its position, put it right here, holds its position, right there. Pretty well it holds its position. Now, if it kept favoring one blade or the other, then I have two choices. I could either take the back of it, of the blade, and just sand a little bit of material off of it until it balances, or put some like Scotch tape on the inside of the prop to where it balances. But I prefer the permanent solution of sanding a little bit of material off until it balances. But this prop is balanced, so you don't have to worry about that. So now let's go ahead and get our spinner together. And you will get to keep that last screw. The spinner goes in like this. You see that hexagon shape back there? You look at the front of your motor, well, that's another clue. Okay, put your prop, I'm going to take this back off. You see how this is angled here? How this is like angled at an angle? All right, that prop is going to fit on that angle. See what I'm saying? Just like that. Okay, so put that on that like there. Put that prop where it fits on there. You're going to take this piece, sandwich everything in place, and then this just screws on by finger tight, just like that. Now what you can do, maybe, no, yep, that's it, just finger tight. And that prop is on there. Okay? There you go. Be right back. All right, I'm going to add a little bit to this video, but since this is a beginner plane, I'm going to go ahead and install that receiver. I'm going to get the Reflex all hooked up, show you how I did that, and we'll be right back. Kind of keep an open mind and follow along with here. Now that Y, remember I told you that had that three-way Y, so let's think about that. You're gonna, if you got a 7-channel receiver, you only need 6. If you don't use 6, if you're only going to use 6, then you can't use thrust reverse. But I'm going to use thrust reverse, so I'm going to that 7th channel. Okay, the throttle lead that's coming off the ESC goes into Reflex. Leave that alone, because all your control cables that you're going to be, majority of the control cables that you're going to be plugging into your receiver are coming off the back of the Reflex and are coming forward. From there, you're going to plug in throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder, and flap. Now, flap is that 3-way plug. Coming out both sides of the wing, okay, is one labeled flap. Okay, with that one there, on that Y, you're going to plug in your polarity, light to light, dark to dark, there's 3 parts of that plug. Flap's going to go to one, flap's going to go on the other one, you're going to have a third. You're going to think, well, what plugs into that? One of your lights from either wing is going to plug into that. And if you look, I'll be able to show you, this is it right here. If you look right here, see how this light is? Okay, this is the hard, down here where my thumb is, that's the hard part. This is the part where you're plugging in. I got the black, don't know if you can see it or not, the black side, that label's in the way. The black side of that wire is lined up with the brown, so my thumb is wiggling, the brown side. That plug just pops right in there. You actually feel it click in, okay? So that takes care of one of the other lights. Coming from the front of the Reflex is a single plug that has these retain clips on that's not labeled. The other light plugs into that the same way. That gives power to your lights, okay? And then everything else is plugged to the Reflex. Now, you'll see you got your two leads coming out of the wings that aren't labeled at all. There's a Y coming out of the front on this side of the Reflex that just has two single, well, they're labeled aileron. You're going to plug your ailerons into those. Pay attention to the polarity, light to light, dark to dark. So, and then you already got your flaps into that one Y, and you got your ailerons, okay? That plugs into the Reflex, and then that single aileron lead goes to your receiver. So let's recap. You got your two light leads. One is going to go into the three-part, the remaining three-way Y that we talked about in the unboxing. It's going to plug into that, dark to dark, okay? Then there's going to be a lead coming off the front of the Reflex that just has an opening. It's not labeled anything, just a single lead. That you're going to plug your other light into that, dark to dark. It's going to be brown to black. That hooks up the lights. There are going to be two leads coming out of the wing, marked aileron. Coming from the front of the Reflex is two double of those Ys. They're locking, they're labeled aileron. Those get plugged into those. And then the long aileron wire that's from the back of the Reflex plugs into the front of the receiver. So once you get everything plugged in, just make sure you don't have your prop off, bind it up, and if everything gets power, then you got it hooked up right, okay? Now what I've done, that three-way Y lead, okay, three-way Y lead, I plug that into my channel 6, because that's where I normally would put flaps, because that's going to control my flaps. It also powers one of the lights, okay? Coming from the front or from the back of the Reflex, those are bundle of wires that come from the back, one is going to be labeled S-bus mode, okay? You're going to need to put that into a 3-position switch. Since I don't have gear, I put it in channel 5 on my receiver, okay? And that's going to be controlled. I'm going to put that, and I put that on my channel B. That controls my Reflex. That's the 3 levels of the Reflex. Channel 4, and I'm going backwards. So channel 6 is my flaps. Channel 5 is to control the onboard Reflex gyro. Channel 4 is my rudder. Channel 3 is my aileron. Channel 2 is my aileron, channel 3 is my elevator. Channel 2 is my aileron. Channel 1 on Spectrum is always throttle. And then you have a channel on this receiver. There's a channel 7 over here on the side. Think of it as auxiliary 3. That's where I'm plugging my reverse thrust. This receiver is not gyroed. It's not spatially oriented. It can be anywhere in the plane. So I'm just going to shove it back in here, take some double-sided Gorilla tape somewhere, and just mount it and make sure that my antennas are going 90 degrees from each other, okay? Because it doesn't have to be a certain way. The Reflex, however, does. And there's enough room beside that Reflex back there where I could mount this receiver nice and flush, just like that, and that way I can control them antennas, and I won't have any problem. I can actually kind of clean them wires up. All right, so that's how it looks right now. Everything's hooked up, and everything's working correctly, but nothing's programmed or trimmed or anything, okay? And don't forget to, shoot, what was I going to say? Well, it'll come to me. Well, you leave your prop off. Leave your prop off. I've already set my throttle cut. Oh yeah, you're going to select your wing type is one aileron, one flap. One aileron, one flap. Okay, that's all you got to do. All right, we're going to pause. We'll be right back after I get all hooked up, and I'll show you how it all looks working. Alrighty. Now the purpose of this part of the video is just to show you how everything looks once it's all hooked up correctly. Alright. Now, if you go through and do like I just said about the Ys, you got one Y, you have that 3-part Y. One of those pieces of the Y is going to control one of the lights. You'll have an empty section of locking Y coming out of the front of the reflex that you'll plug the other light in. There'll be 2 empty plugs coming out of the front of the reflex. They're labeled aileron. The unlabeled wires coming out of the wings are your ailerons. Plug into those. And then everything from the back of the receiver then plugs into the front, from the back of the reflex, plugs into your receiver. Okay? I've mounted my receiver. And the only things that aren't really labeled, well, you'll see one that's called S-Bus. Plug that into an open port on your receiver that you can assign to a 3-position switch. You're going to want to have a 3-position switch because you're going to have 3 different parts of this gyro, of the reflex that controls the gyro. Okay, you have no gyro, you have optimized mode, and you have stability mode. Stability mode is self-leveling. Optimized is simply just wind mitigation. It's not going to keep you from crashing. It's not a panic. It just helps a light foam plane fly well in the wind. And then you've got no gyro at all. There's absolutely no help from a gyro whatsoever. It's just straight control. All right. Now, we got everything hooked up, and this is how it should look once everything's hooked up correctly. All your lights should work. They shouldn't be blinking. Okay. If you've got your gyro hooked up correctly, your reflex, I put it on my B switch. Okay. 3 different controls. Now you really can't see because there's so many wires, but if you look, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but in the front, I don't know if you can see the lights on the front of that reflex. And you see them blinking a little bit. Notice how they're going to change. You really can't see because the phenomenon of cameras, but it's going to change positions. All right, it's going to change what the reflex does. All right. If I have my one position up is just wind mitigation. Okay. Just the helps the plane fly in that wind. My middle position is no gyro at all, and then the other position is self-leveling. See how that elevator is holding its position? See how these ailerons are holding their position? Okay. If you're really not sure, turn it upside down. See it's trying to correct itself? All right. And the way the reflex is set up, no matter how, if you put on a 3-position switch, the middle position is no gyro at all. For me, the position going all the way down is the self-leveling or stability, and then all the way towards me, like this towards me, is the wind mitigation. All right, and that's how that should work. Now, flaps, we'll go over settings and everything after the maiden. But here's how my flaps look. 3-position flaps with a 2-second deployment. Okay. And you should make sure that all your control surfaces are going the right way. Okay. So, let me get you moved a little bit where you can see all the control surfaces. Okay. Move the plane just a little bit. Okay. Now, if I give right aileron, that aileron should be going up, so that aileron is wrong. See? If I go this way, that aileron should be dipping up to push that wing down. Now, if I pull back on the elevator stick, that's correct. And if I go right rudder, that's correct. Okay? So, that means I've got to change my aileron. So go in here to servo setup, aileron, I'm going to switch it. See how I just switched it? Now watch that aileron. See? However, you say, well, wait a minute, what about your gyro? Is that going to correct? No. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It's automatically going to, let's go ahead and put it in self-leveling. See? That's going to hold correctly. You don't have to worry about that. That gyro The Reflex is smart enough to know that you just had to make sure. Really, I should have had that going correctly before I engaged the gyro, but this is not recording those settings. This is a set gyro. You can't go in there and change the diameters of it without using your phone, and you hook up to the gyro and you go and there's a phone app. For this Reflex, for this version 3, for these type of planes, I find that their settings and everything are just perfect. Okay, yeah, right there. That's just, now we're ready to go fly. All I got to do now is take it out the field and give you a maiden. Talk about CG and everything at the field. We'll go over all my rates at the field and do everything there. So thank you for watching. That's how it should look when it's all said and done. And if you notice, I don't have the prop on. Inside the man cave here, you really don't need to have your prop on, okay? Because you might accidentally bump something falls on your transmitter. Next thing you know, you've got a big old cut and you got to go to the emergency room and explain to mama why you got this bill for stitches in your finger because you cut yourself on your toy because you were careless. So, all righty, thank you so much for watching. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, FMS, thank you for the plane. We'll get you out the field here and get y'all a maiden. God bless y'all. Jesus is Lord. And don't forget, folks, faith, family, and friends, and then really cool trainer planes. Bye, y'all. Channel or aux 3. Okay, well, I assigned that to a 3 position. I've assigned that to a momentary switch. It's on channel 7 in my transmitter, but I control channel 7 by way of my bind lead. Okay, so yeah, I got the prop on. I'm going to get behind here, and if I give it throttle, if it's going the right way, if I give it throttle, oh, look, I'm giving it throttle. It's going backwards. Well, that ain't going to work. So put my throttle cut back on.
Timer stop.
That way I don't get any power. Okay, and just like any other control surface, I put it on aux 7 right here. All right, going to reverse that. All right. Well, here it's aux 7. Think of it as aux 3. Anything beyond, flap is aux 1. Which is channel 6. Channel 7 will be aux 2, I guess you call it. But all right, now my throttle's on. I'm going to give it power. Goes forward, but if I hold down my bind button, give it power, goes backwards. So stand behind the plane, and if it's going the wrong way, just like any other control surface, go in there and reverse it. That's all you got to do. Oh yeah, and also when I powered the plane, I went ahead and I hooked up my elevator to the outermost position on the control arm from the servo, and it's already had a default place on the elevator itself, the horizontal stabilizer itself. So, all right, now I'll see you out the field, and God bless y'all, and Jesus is Lord. See y'all later. FMS, thank you for the plane. Bye, y'all.